this topic of non-negotiables, I call it in any case. Like when you started out on your business or your multiple businesses by this point, what were some of the things that you just knew, I'm never going to trade this for anything? Your non-negotiables.
I never wanted to sacrifice my creativity. I never wanted to give up that freedom of, this is who I am and this is my time. So time was also a big non-negotiable for me. And I think especially meeting my husband, he's an anti-poaching helicopter pilot. And we've both chosen these very different lives. So that was a very big thing for us, was that our time was precious. We've chosen these careers so that we can negotiate our time to suit our lifestyle. So that was a big non-negotiable for me. And I hold my values very close to my heart. So I still don't take on any projects or do anything that are not in line with my values and who I am authentically.
Hello, everybody. This show has been created to inspire you to take action,
celebrating and reframing what success looks like,
to be the best version of ourselves that we can be.
and we have incredible speakers for you tonight.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Future Females Show. I'm Susana Kennedy, and this is my absolutely gorgeous co-host, Lauren Dallas.
We are so happy to have you tuned in again. The Future Females Show is, of course, as you know, all about celebrating, but also reframing what success looks like. And that's why we're really excited for this episode, because we are covering lifestyle entrepreneurship, how to build a business that really delivers the life of your dreams, whatever that is for you.
And one of our guests, who I have been lucky enough to know for quite some time now, has really created a life around what she is passionate about. And I think that is such an excellent example of what we're trying to achieve in life. How do we do what we love, but also earn money from it? Carishma Basday, you beautiful human being. How are you doing?
I'm so good.
So you are a content creator, you're a full-time actress, you're launching a podcast, and you're a mompreneur. I'm going to say mompreneur.
Yes.
I'm going to say mompreneur.
Yes, say it.
And I think that that's an important thing, because there are so many mothers now juggling being entrepreneurs and being mothers at the same time. And we're going to get deep and saucy into what that actually can look like.
Because it's quite a thing.
Yeah. The pros and cons, and how to really find that balance.
That roller coaster.
Yeah.
We're going to ride it.
We're going to write it all together, baby, together. But before we do, I think for the audience who hasn't met you before, don't you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, that's always such a difficult question. It's the worst question. I think you said it all. I mean, I was a small town girl with very big dreams, and very proud to say that I've made them come true, and continuing to make them come true every single day, which is such a blessing.
Which is a hell yeah.
Which
actually,
is a
can we have a hell yeah?
Exactly.
I mean, to that.
You're welcome to take a sip.
Thank you. And I've always had a love for telling stories and creating, and I think as I grew into that, it turned into inspiring through those stories and through those creations. And that's a huge part of my identity, and that's grown and evolved over the years, which I'm sure we'll delve into that. I'm a wife to an amazing human. Like
he really is, guys.
He's the coolest human I know. He's the most phenomenal man. And I'm a mama to a little 2-year-old. So that's changed a lot of things over the past 2 years. And yeah, I'm an all-round creative with a love for life and a love for inspiring and impacting lives of women, especially.
Amazing. Well, then you're definitely on the right stage. We're very happy to have you. With lifestyle in mind, something that I would love to know is, this topic of non-negotiables, I call it in any case. Like when you started out on your business or your multiple businesses by this point, what were some of the things that you just knew, I'm never going to trade this for anything? Your non-negotiables.
I never wanted to sacrifice my creativity. I never wanted to give up that freedom of, this is who I am and this is my time. So time was also a big non-negotiable for me. And I think especially meeting my husband, he's an anti-poaching helicopter pilot. And we've both chosen these very different lives. So that was a very big thing for us, was that our time was precious. We've chosen these careers so that we can negotiate our time to suit our lifestyle. So that was a big non-negotiable for me. And I hold my values very close to my heart. So I still don't take on any projects or do anything that are not in line with my values and who I am authentically.
Amazing. And maybe just to explain your different careers. So obviously we've touched on you being an actress and I know a TV host. Tell us a little bit about your content creation career as well and where you're at with that.
Well, that is an interesting journey. So I dabbled on social media here and there. And as a young actor, there was a lot of hot girl pics of all my shoots and all the different things I was doing. And, that generated a small...
There are a lot of hot girl pics of you
Yeah,
out there.
I mean, it was my thing back in the day.
Why the hell not?
Exactly. And that generated an audience of largely males, obviously. And I didn't really take it seriously until I was a presenter on TV for a wonderful show on SABC3 for many, many years. And that obviously really threw me in the limelight and attracted a lot of brands to me. And it was social media and content creation was really kicking off at that time. And, it started off with people sending me lots of wonderful things and it felt amazing. And I was like, wow, okay. But there came a point where I was like, I can only have so many things. And that wasn't paying my bills. And that wasn't giving me what I needed, anymore. Just that gratification of like, oh, a brand loves me and they, want to send me, lovely things, as lovely as it was. But I really struggled with, how do I charge people for this? How do I earn money? How do I...
Yeah. And I think this is such a big thing for content creators, is how do we create content that you can actually charge money for? There was actually a meme that went around the other day. I don't know if you saw it, but one of the supermarkets is handing out these miniature versions of cereal and Jick and things like that. And somebody posted this meme saying, this is what content creators can buy after, with the money they get paid. But the reality is that now content creators get paid really, really well if you're a good content creator and if you know how to do it. So how did you go from getting nothing to being paid?
Well, interestingly enough, I was struggling and trying to do a few things here and there and earning a little bit on smaller campaigns, but never knowing how to assess my worth generally and in the space and watching other content creators. And I came to a Future Females event where the amazing Fee from People Have Influence.
Whose birthday it is today.
And she got engaged.
I know. So I was listening to this incredible woman speak and I thought, she is the answer to all my prayers and all my questions, and I need to work with this woman. And she came off stage and I made a beeline directly for her. And I was like, Fee, I need you. and she was this person that was in this space, and I'll be forever grateful to her, because she really helped me to be like, Karish, this is your magic. This is your magic. Look at what you're doing, and no one else can offer this. And this is you need to be earning accordingly for this. And so I worked with her, and then I started finding my way. And I think I was still finding that, the engagement was not really where I needed it to be, and I wasn't comfortable charging as much as I knew I was worth, because I was like, how can I show return on investment? And my problem was that being on TV, people knew me, but the people I was trying to target was women. men didn't care about my skincare routine or the holistic retreat I went on or the stuff that I wanted to promote, on my page. But women weren't able to relate to me and connect to me. I was this pretty girl on TV, and I hadn't learned yet how to connect authentically. I hadn't learned yet how to be vulnerable. I was very much caught up in, I am this pretty girl, and that's what the world needed me to be. Even though with my friends and family, I wasn't someone different. That's very much an authentic part of me, but it's not all of who I am. But I thought that that's what my audience wanted and needed. And the shift was when I fell pregnant. And all of a sudden, it was women were like, oh, I can become pregnant too. It was like, yeah, she's like doing what we all can do finally, or whatever. And that was such a huge shift. And it was such a big game changer, for my audience and for my career as a content creator. And it's just, masses of women. And I shared so vulnerably and authentically and navigated my pregnancy in a very different way that I think really inspired a lot of women. So, yeah.
And you shared that really authentically. I remember that journey. I mean, we were friends, so
yes.
I obviously saw a
You're
lot
very
of
much
it.
a part of it.
Yeah, but I also follow you, so I see what you're getting up to. But one of the things that I loved about it was your true, authentic self really stepping out. And it was received, I think, better than any version of you has been received before. And even now, there were so many pros to stepping into that, but people also then pushed the boundaries and wanted things from you that you were like, no, actually, this is enough, right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, people are very opinionated, especially online, as we all know. And it's so wonderful that so many women feel this deep connection with me, but on the other hand, they feel very entitled, to also have a very deep opinion about how I do things. And I think because I've done things so differently, I mean, even bringing it closer to home with my mum, she feels sometimes quite offended by the fact that I'm doing things very differently to how she's doing it. And I have to explain to her that you did the best that you could with the information that you had. And now I'm doing the best that I can with the information that I have now. But online, and I've chosen to share my daughter very openly online because she's a big part of my life. And, she's just this
gorgeous,
magic, joyous little, creature. And she brings so much joy to other people. And I love that. But it got to a point at one stage where if I wasn't posting about her, people, I would be like, have hundreds of DMs. We really miss her. Why we miss our little girl? Why aren't you posting about her? Blah, 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 blah. And it was really intense. And I had to kind of set that boundary was, I love sharing her. I love that she brings you joy, but this is on my terms, and only on my terms. And I will share her as much or as little.
Yeah. And I think that's so important as well. Like a word that's so overused, well, generally, but in content creation, I find is authenticity. And that's not like, come and see all of me and everything in my life. I believe that's just authentically sharing about the things that you're willing to open the world up to.
I think that's such a good point, Lauren, because we've had conversations exactly about being our authentic selves, right? But one of the things that I think people get mixed up with is exactly that, is that if you are this person who shares authentically from a truthful place, it doesn't mean you have to share everything. So how do you, what advice would you give content creators out there who would like to follow in your footsteps and who are mums? Where is that boundary and how do you figure that out?
I think it comes down to what you feel comfortable with. And as a mom, you will know. I mean, those DMs started coming slowly and slowly. And I was like, oh, they love my child and that's very sweet. And then it got to a point where I was like, no, this is actually not okay. And I actually had to say something, online. So I think for me, it's, trust your intuition and trust your gut. You will know when something is okay or inappropriate. I mean, even to the extent where there are some very sweet men that follow me and are very positive and, loving, engaging, that kind of thing. But then there's some of them that are like, only like photos of my daughter. Oh, me and I'm like, block, You
Also,
know,
I blocked so many.
Yeah.
you know, you just get that feeling where like,
know.
I don't care how sweet you are, but sorry, this is not going to happen.
Absolutely. I think, I want to take it back to the non-negotiables, because one of the things you spoke about was time. And as a content creator, like we all know, probably everyone is on social media, we know how much time and energy goes into that. You're balancing multiple careers and have a kid. So how are you managing boundaries around time as well?
Firstly, I think I'm very privileged to now be in a position that I only take on campaigns or work that really means something to me and that really motivate me in a very specific way. I either love this brand for a specific reason, or it's part of my story that I want to share with the world. And that really helps me keep things in check. It's not just saying yes, yes, yes to everything, and I have this overwhelm, of work that I now need to, deal with. It's also been wonderful to be able to include my daughter in some of those campaigns. So then it's us working together. My husband, besides being this amazing helicopter pilot, I've also kind of roped him in and trained him to be
Photographer, the admin assistant, working on cinemas as well.
exactly, the videographer.
He's a really good Insta husband.
He's the best. I mean, he's actually a phenomenal videographer and creator. He's also very creative. So it's nice for us to sometimes now work as a family together and do stuff as a family together. But I think for me, it really has been that is knowing my boundaries. Knowing my boundaries of like, why am I saying yes to this job? What do I need from it? What am I getting from it? What am I gaining from it? And also, how is this impacting my family as a whole?
But don't you think that, like, you've worked up to that, but as a young creative, anybody watching this, surely that's what you should be doing from the word go.
It's so
right?
hard.
And actually, you'll end up attracting more work. But it's like the conversation we had with Ekaterina, right? She is a lifestyle blogger, travel blogger, incredible, but she's luxury. And at one point she was like, oh, maybe I need to approach these like smaller hotels and stuff. And they didn't want her because, but yet she will stay in the most expensive hotels all over the world and they give her money like happily, So it's also about understanding your value proposition, right?
Yeah, but it is so easy to say. But when you're sitting there and maybe you can't pay the bills and something not completely aligned comes along, I think
I know.
I've
I've been there. All of us have had that, right?
And you desperate for the acknowledgement that like, oh, this brand want to work with me, or I need the money, or I'm building this career and I need this brand to get to the next level, or whatever. There's so many thoughts that run through your mind when you're getting started, and I think it is a journey to know your worth. And unfortunately, I think for me and for I think a lot of people, you gotta go to those ups and downs. You gotta work with maybe some really not so great people to be like, okay, this is
to find your boundaries.
To find your boundaries, exactly.
So I know that you are about to start a podcast, which I'm very excited for, and that it's going to be focused on wellness. And one of the posts I saw about it, I guess linked to this idea of time and balance, is sleep. So I would love to share kind of how you've gone on your journey so far and what has led you to this next step.
And specifically, I mean, sleep is one of the things that most of us
Tell
are
us about
deprived of, and mothers are certainly deprived of. So how do you get that right?
Oh my God! It's an ongoing journey. It's the never-ending dance, and you've got to surrender to that ebb and that flow, of things when it comes to sleep. I mean, I was a complete night owl, and I never really, people were like, oh, sleep is so important. I'm like, yeah, it's important. Of course it's important. We need to sleep, but like 4 hours will do. I mean, I was used to being up at 4 a.m. and being on set for like 12 hours and coming back and then chilling, and like, or getting ready for the next day. And that was my life. And that's how I kind of unfortunately trained my body to function, which is so bad. It's only become a mom where I realized, wow, sleep. It's amazing. It's a thing. And even a few hours can make like such a huge difference to how I'm able to function, how I'm able to self-regulate myself, with my daughter, be present for her. It's really made a big shift. So I've been a lot more mindful of sleep hygiene, even though it's sometimes not a thing when you're a mom. It's definitely not a thing. But yeah, I mean, the podcast touches on that, but I think you asked how did I get to that point of the podcast. And it was really from me interviewing these amazing women for this TV show that I presented on. And in our breaks, we'd have these incredible discussions that were so life-changing for me. And I was like, this is the goal, this is the magic. And I was never able to get to ask them those questions because it was, we had a specific script and there was a theme or whatever. And I was like, but this is the magic. This is what's going to make an impact. This is what's going to change the world and change the lives of women. And so I came up with Chat and Chai with Carishma.
I love it.
And it's basically just, two women having a cup of tea and sharing authentically. And I believe that the power of someone sharing their stories is just so powerful and so impactful, because that's how you inspire and change people's lives, by just authentically sharing your story.
Absolutely. So what is the best? Absolutely.
I'm going to ask the opposite of your next question, so you go.
I was going to say, what is the best question you've ever been asked, or what is the question that you find the most inspiring to get the answer for?
I think there's been a few, but I think the ones that have recently been most impactful for me have been around my pregnancy, my birth, and navigating motherhood, because I've done it so differently. And I know that sharing those stories have impacted so many women's lives by just letting them know that there are different options. I think there's so much fear around pregnancy and birth and that whole kind of thing. There's not enough inspiration, there's not enough empowerment of women to trust their body, trust that they innately know what's best for them. And I mean, I gave birth at home with a doula and a midwife. It was a 26-hour labor, unmedicated, with my dogs and my cats around me, just very, very holistic. And, I ate sushi and raw eggs and all the things that people tell you not to do. And I was surfing when I was 6 months pregnant in Bali, and women were like, wow, we didn't know, I wish, or women would tell me all I craved was seafood, and people told me I couldn't eat that when I was pregnant, or just such little things, but I know have been so impactful. So any question that has given me the opportunity to share those kind of stories, have been very powerful for me recently.
Absolutely. I was speaking to a lady. She was actually CEO of one of South Africa's largest finance companies. And she's in her 60s now, fully grown up kids. And she said, the kids knew that I was 80% work, 20% them. Wow. And she was like, everyone knew that. And she was, of course, judged for it, particularly, 40 years ago, starting her career. But that is just how it was, and that's the choice that she made. So I love that you're saying, you can just do it how it suits you. But also being such a visible person online with those choices that other people, I guess, can keep more personal. How challenging has that been?
Juggling everything?
Or no, I guess being judged for doing things your way and differently. Or has it just been like, this is my mark?
This is my mark.
Amazing.
I don't really, other people's opinions will always be other people's opinions, and they'll be there regardless of what I do. And at the end of the day, I've got to follow my heart and my truth. And I've made decisions that I know are right for myself and my family. And whether they work out or not, that's, my burden to bear, I suppose. It's got nothing to do with anyone else. And that's just always the truth that I've, hung on to. And, just talking about this 80-20 thing, there's a beautiful analogy that, we're always juggling all these balls as women, whether you're a mom or whatever, we're juggling all these balls. And there's always going to be something that's going to, get dropped. There's always going to be a ball that's going to be dropped along the line. And every day you have a choice of whether that's going to be a glass ball, something really important, or a plastic ball, And I think that was very impactful for me as a new mom, especially just getting back into work, to know that I was always going to be juggling. And that was a truth and a reality that I was going to let sink in. But I have a choice, Some days I'm going to drop the glass ball, and that's okay. And other days, maybe it's just going to be a plastic ball, and that's also okay. You know?
I love that you're saying that, because I think that so many women feel this pressure to be perfect, all the time. And they forget that life is a juggling act. It's a constant juggling act. It never stops. So you're never in balance. You're always trying to find the balance and doing the best you can with that. And I think you do such a great job. Well done, honey. Proud.
But I mean, Carishma, your energy is amazing.
It's beautiful.
But you also exude this confidence. And what I'm wondering is, obviously you've had low moments, and we don't need to dig into what those are, but how do you pick yourself back up when you have had those challenges through your career?
A lot of spiritual work. I think I'm addicted to self-growth and self-discovery, and it's been the most wonderful thing aging for me and getting to know myself better, with each and every year, and that brings so much confidence in so many different ways. When I was younger, I relied very much on the confidence of how I looked, and now I rely so much on the confidence of who I am. And I also surround myself with amazing people, like the wonderful Susana, just lovely people who are rooting for me, who have my back, who are there for me no matter what, who see me, because yes, I have an entire audience always looking at me all the time, but how many people really see me, and I hold those people very near and dear. And in those moments when it's a low moment or I'm lacking that confidence, I pull those people even closer.
I love that you said that you're focusing more on loving who you are versus, who you are perceived to be. And I think that just focusing on that as individuals, doing the work as well, doing the work. Oh my gosh. Doing the work. Putting on those big girl panties and showing up, right?
And motherhood has forced me to do that on a whole other, motherhood has been a ride of equal parts magic and madness, right? But the biggest thing it's given me is that I am, can I say fucking?
You can say
fucking powerful. Like the things that I am able to do. The things that I never thought. Hell yeah. The things that I am able to do, the things I never thought I would come close to doing, the things I can juggle, the way I can be pushed. Like I thought my boundaries were here, but they're not. Like I feel like Superwoman when I think of myself as a mom, and just from my birth, 26 hours, I'm medicated, lots of challenges, doing it, it's just cracked me open in the most beautiful of ways, and it's empowered me in the most beautiful ways. So
I think we have run out of time. I could carry on talking to you for ever, but we literally have 2 minutes left. Okay. So I just want to ask you, if there's one piece of advice that you could give any of these beautiful ladies that are watching here tonight, what would it be?
So there's something that my dad used to always tell me, and it's been my anchor in life, and it's that when life is sweet, say thank you and celebrate. When life is bitter, say thank you and grow. And I think that just really encompasses life. It's this constant dance, this constant ebb and flow, but there's beauty and gifts in every single moment. And we need to remember that always.
And celebrate. So
celebrate.
We are celebrating you, joining us up here, sharing your story, all your successes, your future podcast success. Yay. And thank you to all of you as well who are tuned in and learning from this incredible woman.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank
it's been
you.
such an honor.
Thank you everyone for watching online. We'll see you again soon.
See you soon.